Hi, everybody. I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show, where we show old 16mm films, and sometimes we know what they are, and sometimes we don't. And this was a reel that was in a box that said "Identify Me," and so I pulled a couple of films from there because sometimes you find very interesting things in there. This other film right here that I pulled, it says not titled. I was like, oh, well, we can watch this. But unfortunately, you can see what has happened here is that vinegar, the acetate of the film has broken down, and so what you were left with is a very curled, curled thing. So I don't know what this is, but I have a scanner that has a warped film gate that we might be willing to try this with and see what it is. But I don't know what it is. It says Reader's Digest Mount Sind. So, yeah, don't know. So ways to maybe get some flexibility back into this is to bewind it. So wind it onto another reel backwards, and then put a plasticizer in it, like mothballs. Camphor sometimes helps, and then just keep going back and forth, and that sometimes helps loosen it, get it more flexible so that it can lie flat in the gate. So that might be what we try. Anyways, it's Friday. We watch old films. So here's an old film about 5 colorful birds. Enjoy.
We can find many of our most colorful birds nesting in bushes or trees. Here we find the goldfinch. Here the female is her egg. The male goldfinch is very attentive, visiting his mate regularly. Often he feeds her at the nest, making it to leave and expose the eggs to bad weather or enemies. Soon after the eggs hatch, the male begins his job of bringing food and feeding the young. While he is feeding them, the female returns. The male gives the rest food to his mate. She in turn shares the food with the young. The mother protects the young, too, by spreading her wings and shading them from the hot sun. The male makes visit after visit, arriving with his throat filled with fruit and insects for his growing family. Another colorful bird that we are likely to see when we walk in the woods is the cedar waxwing. Its jaunty crest, black mask, and brown plumage make it a striking bird. The brightly lined mouths of the young birds show the parent where the food is to go. Both male and female, which are practically alike in appearance, share in feeding their young. Here they pump up juneberries and other small fruits previously swallowed, giving them one by one to the young. Notice how quickly the berries appear in the adult's mouth. The bird can store as many as 10 berries in the gullet for one feeding. See how the young anxiously beg for more by vibrating their wings and opening their brightly colored mouths. Now more than half grown, the young waxwings are very alert and observant. Although berries and other fruits make up much of the waxwing's diet, insects are also needed for growth. The young birds preen their feathers, scratch, and occasionally peck at each other as though playing. The youngsters' appetites never seem to be satisfied, and they open their mouths for food even when they're full. The parent gives trial feedings to see which young bird is able to swallow more quickly and is therefore the hungrier. These youngsters, 2 weeks old, have left the nest and are in a pin cherry tree. The cherries, round and slippery, are difficult to pick up and hold, let alone swallow. With practice, however, the youngsters improve, and soon one manages to swallow his first cherry. If we walk along a woods road and listen and watch carefully, we may find the brilliantly colored scarlet tanager. While the scarlet tanager often nests in broadleaf trees, in our northern woods it sometimes prefers cone-bearing trees. This shallow, somewhat carelessly built nest is in a tamarack on the edge of a northern bog. Only the male tanager has the scarlet plumage that gives him his name. He never sits on the eggs or broods the young, since his bright color might attract some enemy to the nest. But he frequently comes to the nest for brief visits to feed the young. The male guards the nesting territory against intruders and warns his mate with his call if trouble threatens. The female tanager is hard to see because her greenish plumage so closely matches the foliage. These open mouths are what a parent tanager sees and has to fill on returning to the nest. Tanagers feed their young great quantities of insects. They are among our most useful as well as colorful birds. We can find woodpeckers by looking for their holes in trees, fence posts, and telephone poles. The red-headed woodpecker is one of the most colorful members of the woodpecker family. It is the only woodpecker in the United States with a completely red head. Both male and female are colored alike, an exception among birds. As most woodpeckers do, they make their home by pecking a hole in a tree with their long, sharp beaks. Inside the nest hole are the young, which both parents feed. Sometimes they get in each other's way. The hole is barely large enough for the bird to enter, but the hole is a snug home for a woodpecker family. In the open countryside, we often find one of the most familiar and best liked of our colorful birds, the eastern bluebird. Sometimes it lives near our houses, where it becomes very friendly. Sky blue above and reddish brown below, the bluebird is a delight to see. Adult bluebirds eat a variety of food, but for the young, they consistently gather insects. The female is less brightly colored than the male, but she still is recognizable as a bluebird. The bluebird always nests in a cavity. Male and female bluebirds stay close together throughout the nesting season. Both take turns feeding the young after the eggs hatch. As soon as the young are well grown, the adults go to the nest only when feeding them. The young are ready to leave the nest when they're about 15 days old. Once this youngster is outside the hole, he will not go back, but he will be fed by his parents until he is up his own food. The bluebird belongs to the thrush family. We can recognize the relationship in this young bluebird's mottled breast, a characteristic of the thrushes. When this bird matures, he will have the brilliant plumage of an adult bluebird, another of our colorful birds.
All right, there's some colorful birds for you. So what I neglected to mention is the first film that I showed, the silent one, was, I believe I got it from some guy who had a bunch of films, including his student film, and that was a work print that we showed. So basically, the rough edits. When you shoot the film, then you make a copy of it from the negative, and then you use that to cut. And you can tell, like, whatever he was using to cut it wasn't clean because there's all these scratches throughout, and the splices are real rough. And sometimes there's little notes written with grease pencil. So that was a work print that we saw. So there you go. We learned something today. Let's see. Let's learn about bread. Not the band, unfortunately. I'd love to have a film about David Gates and bread. But no, this is about the food stuff. Enjoy.
Well, you can buy a bagel, pick a pita, pound a flat and call it a tortilla. Well, it's all the same, and it's got the name bread. Gotta seed a little, knead a little, slice it up and then you feed a little. That's the story of how your stores can get bread. Grind the wheat and you'll get flour. That's a good place to start. Mix with yeast and in an hour, you're ready for the good part. That means you can eat it. Gotta shape a little, taste a little, pop it in and let it bake a little. That's the reason why you can eat it by. Well, it's all the same, and it's got the name bread.
In France, they call it pain. Pain. In Italy, they call it pane. Pane. And in Germany, they call it Brot. That's close to what it's called in the United States. Brot. Bread. No matter where you are, it seems, all over the world, there are different names for it. But it's all bread. Most bread starts with the same thing. Wheat. There are 2 times to plant wheat. Spring wheat is planted in the spring, and winter wheat is planted in the fall. It will take root and grow until it gets too cold. Then the wheat rests until the spring. And then the wheat fields will look like this. By summertime, the wheat fields are growing great guns. Wheat is grown almost all over the United States. In early summer, when the winter wheat is ripe, you'd also see these harvesting the wheat. The machine is called a combine because it combines the jobs of cutting the wheat and threshing, which means separating the seeds from the stalks. Wheat grows a lot like grass. In fact, wheat is a kind of grass. It grows in long stalks. The top of the stalk is called the head, or spike. And inside the head are the wheat berries. When we plant the wheat berry to grow new wheat, it's called a wheat seed. And when we use the wheat berry for food, it's called a wheat kernel. The wheat berries are gathered by the combines and dumped into trucks. The trucks wind up here at the grain elevators. Here the wheat is stored in big silos until it's loaded onto trains. From here it will be taken to the mill, where most of it will be ground into flour. Greg and Melissa have their own special recipe for making whole wheat bread.
Let's see. You've got your flour, whole wheat flour, and white flour, salt, butter, honey or sugar, water, and yeast. Yeast puts air into the bread, so it gets nice and high and springy.
And if you want, you can add a little something sweet. Next, we combine about half the flour with the yeast mixture. That's called the sponge. You'll see why soon. The sponge has to rest a while. We put it in a warm place and see what happens in about an hour.
In the meantime, we'll mix the rest of the ingredients with the rest of the flour. We'll add a little salt, a little butter,
And if somebody wants it a little sweet, please add a bit of honey.
Now I see why it's called sponge. It gets big and squishy.
Mix the sponge with the rest of the ingredients and you've got some dough. Now you knead the bread.
That's spelled K-N-E-A-D, and it means roll it around like clay. See, that mixes up all the ingredients real well.
Okay, that's good. Now we'll put the dough back in our warm place.
Because it has to rest and rise again.
Want to know how we make 3,000 loaves of bread? Instead of going to your house, the flour goes to a large industrial bakery. It arrives here from the mills on trains. It's pumped into silos and stored until it's ready to be used. Lots of other ingredients, yeast and salt and butter and nutrients, are also stored in the bakery's receiving area. The flour speeds along through pipes to the mixer, where some of the ingredients are combined with some of the flour. Computers do the measuring. When the ingredients are mixed, it's not quite bread dough yet.
Oh, what's that?
That's our sponge, the beginnings of bread dough. The sponge goes into bins and then into a room where it rises for 2 to 4 hours. The action of the yeast is filling the sponge with air. Big metal arms punch down the sponge to let the air out. When the sponge is ready, it goes back to the mixer with the other ingredients. And it comes out bread dough.
Looks more like something that would eat me than something I'd eat.
Just wait, it gets much better. Now the dough is dumped into the divider, where it is cut into the proper size for each loaf. 168 pieces every minute. The pieces are rolled and dusted with flour. The lumps of dough rise a bit on the overhead proofer. And next, we knead the pieces.
That's K-N-E-A-D.
Right. It's kneaded again and dropped into pans and taken to another proofer for, what else? Another chance to rest and rise a bit. Finally, the bread is ready for the huge long oven, where it bakes for 15 minutes at very high temperatures. This oven bakes 9,000 loaves every hour.
And the whole time, those loaves have never stood still once.
After the bread comes out of the oven, it has to cool for a while on this overhead merry-go-round. The rest is quick and easy. The bread gets sliced, bagged, and sealed. This whole process, from flour to package, has taken about 7.5 hours. Trucks, a fleet of them, pick up the bread and take it to the stores in cities and towns fresh that day. Many kinds of bread can be made from many types of flour, like rye, corn, oats, wheat. But bread isn't the only thing made from wheat. You see, there are several types of wheat. There's what we call soft wheat. That's best for pastries, pies, and cookies, light things.
All right.
And there's also hard wheat. That's used for spaghetti and bread.
Bread? We forgot about our bread.
All the way from that wheat field to flour. Out of the oven to your table. However you slice it, whatever you call it, it's bread.
Grind a wheat and you'll get flour. That's a good place to start. Mix with yeast and in an hour, you're ready for the good part. That means you can eat it. You gotta shake.
So, is that a toe tapper? Yeah, I'm not sure. I did chastise Found Footage Festival when they one of their toe tapping songs was George's, I think, HVAC or something like that, and it was basically a variation on a Guys and Dolls song. I don't know. I'll add it, and then we'll see if it survives next year's toe tapping tournament. Let you guys vote, but I'll add it to the mix because it is pretty great singing about bread. Okay, so behind me, I have the scanner set up, and we're gonna watch a film. Yeah, let's dig in. I need to change the name of it actually, and change some aspects of it. While we're doing that, please know that you can support AV Geeks by hitting the like button, smashing the thumbs up button, subscribing, and even if you've done the like button thing before, do it again, because it helps. It helps with some computer that's just sitting there tabulating the number of times that people hit like. It's like, if we bubble up into the top 1 millionth YouTube stream that's happening at this moment. Another way you can support us is by going to ko-fi.com/avgeeks and buying us some delicious coffee that we will use to buy coffee, or we will use to buy things like tape, film cans, extension cords. That seems to be the thing I'm buying more recently, is extension cords. Air conditioning units for the back, because the back is not conditioned space, and because of the layout, it doesn't quite work. So we're trying to come up with ways to cool things and make things less stinky back there, and not contribute to the front of the archive, which we all live in, and we don't want to smell like vinegar every day. So those are ways you can support. You can also go to avgeeks.com and buy DVDs, and also we have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week channel where we show old lunch episodes. We show films that we haven't shown, and I think right now we have up to 1,500 films that are in circulation, and it's a great place to go if you're jonesing for some more content. Maybe over the weekend you're like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna sit and drink some coffee and watch some stuff. And ultimately what we're gonna try to do is turn this into a Roku app so that you can watch on your Roku if that's of interest. Anyhow, here is Eye of the Beholder, and it is pink, so enjoy. Second.
Three nut shells and a pea. We place the pea. Under which shell is the pea? Many people have wagered thousands of dollars, so sure were they that they knew. Now, some will say under this shell. Most people will say under this shell. Few people will say under this one. Here is a hat, a tall hat. Is the crown taller than the width of the brim? Well, obviously, yes. It would be absurd to think differently. But wait a minute, let's see. So, 6 inches. And so,
Exactly 6 inches. Here is a formation of cubes. Count them. How many cubes are there? Some of us will count 6. Some will count 7. And now, let's look at the same thing from another point of view, from another perspective. Now count them. Now how many are there? Are there 7 or 6? Strange, isn't it, how a different point of the appearance of things? The head of a man, or is it a witch? Is it a tree, or the fear that lurks in so many minds, an atomic cloud? But you see, it's only an overturned ink bottle, a blot of ink. Some of us see the truth. Some of us see only part of the truth. Some of us never see the truth. We're looking at the same scene, you and I. What do we see? An artist's studio? An overturned easel? Scattered paints and brushes? A knife? A woman? A man? We're all looking at the same scene at the same time. But do we all see the same thing? Do we all see the same man in the same way? In the past 12 hours, he attracted the attention of a number of people. Let's see what they beheld.
Michael Gerard is my son. Sometimes he worries me. He's so moody and difficult. But at heart, he's a good boy.
Michael Gerard, he's a ladies' man. A smooth operator with the women.
He's a hood. I know a hood when I see one. A real hood. He's insane. He's a lunatic.
He's a murderer.
Just 12 hours ago, Michael Gerard was sitting in the Crystal Room.
He's a ladies' man, all right, that's for sure. I knew it right away the first time I served him drinks. He wasn't just looking around. He was sizing up every dame in the place. He didn't care if his girlfriend knew it or not. Sure, she got mad and an argument started. But that didn't stop him. All of a sudden he lighted up. Then I saw what caught his eye. It was the blonde, a real good looker. I figured, let him look. What can he do about it?
Waiter,
Yes, sir.
who's that girl over there? The blonde.
I'm sorry, sir, I don't know. She comes in here often with the same gentleman.
Okay, thanks.
Talk about nerve. How far will a guy like that go?
You'll come up to my place then?
I thought I'd seen everything.
Tomorrow? Tomorrow at 9?
All right.
He was smooth, all right. Too smooth.
Why do you say he was too smooth?
I know how to get around myself.
Sometimes I don't understand Michael, even if he is my son. He's so unpredictable. He's so moody and ill-tempered. But he's a good boy. Michael?
Morning, Mom.
Good morning, dear.
I'll see you later. I've got to get going.
But Michael, you must eat something.
I don't have time.
But I made hot corn muffins, eggs basted the way you like them.
I have a date at the studio. There's a new model coming in at 9 o'clock.
Everything's ready. I'll butter the muffins.
I told you I don't want any breakfast.
But Michael, you can't go to work on an empty stomach.
Will you let me alone?
Just one muffin, Michael. It's good for you. Michael worries me.
Mrs. Gerard, does Michael pay attention to you when you speak to him?
Attention? Doesn't hear a word I say.
Yeah, I remember Mike Gerard. The way he acted, who could forget him? In my business, you learn to size up a guy fast. One good look and I had him spotted. A real hood. Right away, he started getting tough.
You okay, Mac?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go.
As soon as I call in.
Skip the call and let's go.
Nice day, isn't it? Didn't feel much like working today. I'd have rather gone to the track. I was out there a couple of weeks ago. Had a lousy day. In the feature, I had Lucky Joe. He was leading 2 lengths at the 3/4. Then going into the stretch turn, he went wide. Jock could have held him in. But I guess he didn't want to. If you know what I mean. The boys rarely handle that job. With grease. They're smart. Real smart. I hear they only set up 1 race a week. Brother, I'd give my right arm to being on 1 good fix. You wouldn't have any ideas, would you?
Shut up.
Huh?
I said shut up. I got things on my mind.
I didn't mean nothing. Just talking. Feel that bump? You know what caused it? Politics. Floated a bond issue 2 years ago. The bump's still there. Crooked politics. That's what it is. Oh, I don't mean that all politicians are crooks.
Look, Mac, I said shut up.
All right, bud. All right. A real hood.
What makes you so sure he was a hood?
Don't I know what makes a bulge under a coat?
Maggie Gerard rents from me a long time. I got a building full of artists, and they're all peculiar. But Gerard, a lunatic. Good morning.
Huh? What's that? Did you say something?
I said good morning, plain good morning.
Is it? Everything is relative.
I just said good morning. This is an issue, maybe?
My good friend Koppelmeyer, words do not mean the same to all men.
Is that so? So what does good morning mean? By me it means good morning. What is it by you?
All kinds of things. Plans and their fulfillment. A dream comes to life.
Mr. Gerard, you are talking foolishness. I'm talking real things.
Real things? What is reality? You see that lady? You think she's real?
Oh, that lady is not real, huh? I made her up from my imagination.
Exactly. Do you understand me, Koppelmeyer?
I understand you are.
Wonderful, you prove my point. The man you see in me does not exist.
You don't exist either.
No, Koppelmeyer, no. I do not exist.
So who's gonna pay your rent?
Mr. Koppelmeyer, would you really know a lunatic if you met one?
I'm an expert. Several cases in my family.
Something about that Mr. Gerard frightens me. I've seen his paintings when I do up his room. I don't know what can be in his mind to paint such things. When he came in today, the way he looked. Something terrible was going to happen. A few minutes later, the lady came.
Mr. Gerard's studio.
On the left.
Thank you.
Yes?
It's Louise.
Come in.
Why are you acting so mean? Stop looking at me that way. Let go of me, no! Oh, cut it out, I tell you! Let go of me! Cut it out, I tell you! Let go of me! Murder! Murder! Police! Police!
These are the eyes that saw Michael Gerard. The waiter saw a lady killer, a smooth operator. Through his mother's eyes, Michael was thoughtless, unappreciative. To the cabbie, he appeared as a gangster, a real hood. But to Koppelmeyer, Michael was a lunatic. Always fearful of others, the cleaning woman viewed Michael as a monster, a murderer. 5 different people, 5 different Michael Gerards. But what is the truth? Let's go back and see through Michael's eyes.
For a long time, I've had an idea. I wanted to paint the 20th century Madonna. Mother of all men who sees her children crucified by this age as she looks on in sorrow and compassion. I knew that somewhere there was a woman with a face, the depth, the spiritual quality of my Madonna, and that I must find her. For without her, I could not put my dream on canvas. I searched for her everywhere. And then one night, Hester saw a girl in the crystal room and called me in great excitement to tell me she had found my Madonna. We went there the following night.
She isn't here yet, Michael, but she will be. The bartender says she drops in almost every night.
You really think she's what I'm looking for?
Darling, I'll bet on it.
I don't know. I'm beginning to think my Madonna doesn't exist.
Michael. Michael, there she is.
You're right, Esther. She's perfect. I feel as though I've seen her 1,000 times.
I'm so glad.
Who is she? Do you know who she is?
No. The waiter might ask him.
Waiter. Yes, sir. Who is that girl? The blonde.
I'm sorry, sir, I don't know. She comes in here often with the same gentleman.
Thank you. I've got to meet her. Do you think she'll pose?
Well, there's one way to find out. Go over and ask her.
Excuse me. I feel funny intruding like this, but my name's Michael Gerard. I would like to speak to the young lady a moment. Please, don't be offended. I had to talk to you. I've been looking for you everywhere. I pleaded with her. I begged her. I explained how important it was. Finally, she understood. My search was ended. She agreed to come to the studio at 9 o'clock in the morning. I didn't sleep all night. My mind was whirling with ideas. My only desire was to get to the studio.
Michael?
Good morning, Mother.
Good morning, dear.
Mother, I found the girl, the model for my Madonna.
Michael, sit down. You must eat something.
I can't. I haven't got time.
I get up every morning to make breakfast for you. I made you hot corn muffins, eggs basted the way you like them.
Mother, I found the model. She's coming in at 9 o'clock.
But your appointment isn't so important. You can't eat. Everything's ready. It'll just take a minute.
Mother, I told you I don't want any breakfast. I've been awake all night and I'm all keyed up.
Can't go to work on an empty stomach.
Mother, I can't eat. Don't you understand?
Just one muffin, Michael. It'll be good for you.
Mom, you haven't heard a word I said. Driver, is this your cab?
It ain't my brother's.
Let's go, will you? I'm in a hurry.
Hold your horses, Bud. I gotta call in.
Forget the call, will you? I'm late.
Like I said, when I call in.
I'm not going far. Please, make your call later.
Okay, if you're in such a sweat. Nice day, isn't it? Didn't feel much like working today. I'd have rather gone to the track. I was out there a couple of weeks ago. That allows
the placement of the head on the canvas. Let's see.
In the feature, I had Lucky Joe.
The angle of the light. If it hits from above,
right for 3/4.
all
Then he went
dark
wide.
tones, light on the
John
face.
could have held him in. That is, if he wanted to.
Look, my friend, please. Yeah, light from above, only on the face.
The boys really handle
big
that
tone
job
contrast.
with grease.
It's got to shine through the
They're
spiritual quality, like a light from within.
Real smart. I hear they only set up one race a
More
week.
angle, so that the eyes are highlighted, luminous,
Rather
glowing.
one I wouldn't give to being in one good fix. You wouldn't have any ideas, would you?
Will you please keep quiet?
Huh?
I said keep quiet, will you? I'm trying to concentrate.
No offense. Just talking.
Now too diffused. Have to focus it. Maybe if I use a cold light on the
Feel
face.
that bump?
No
what
warm
caused
light
it?
in the background, yeah. That'll... No.
Politics.
That's no good.
Floated a bond issue 2 years ago.
The other way, let's see.
The bump's still there.
Yeah, warm light on the face, cold on the background. Yes. Yeah, I'll work with a limited palette. And then,
Crooked
with everything coming back to the
politics,
face.
I don't mean all politicians are crooked. What I mean is...
Look, I'm busy. Will you please keep quiet?
All right, Bud. All right.
Yeah, that's it. Everything, the line, the rhythm, the light. Everything is relative. I have it. All the lines converging out of the darkness. Yes, that's it.
Good morning.
What's that?
I said good morning, that's all. Plain good morning.
Everything is relative, Coppermine. I just discovered it.
I just said good morning. This is an issue, maybe?
My good friend Coppermeyer, words do not mean the same to all men. Nothing is the same to all men.
Is that so? So what does good morning mean? By me, it means good morning. What is it by you?
Today, wonderful things. Promise, fulfillment. The reality of a dream.
What are you talking, Gerard? Dreams are real?
Yes, that's the beauty and the wonder.
Mr. Gerard, don't give me foolishness. I'm talking real things.
Real things? What is reality? You see that woman?
Mm-hmm.
You think she's real. She's a product of your imagination.
I made her up from my imagination.
Exactly. To every man, she looks different. One looks at her and falls in love. Another looks and sees nothing. Today, I shall put on canvas what I see in a woman. To you, the result will be a painting, but to me, it'll be as real as that woman.
The painting is as real as that lady, huh?
Yeah. You don't understand, Coppermeyer.
I understand you are a loony.
You prove my point. The man you see in me does not exist. In my excitement of meeting my Madonna, I even had a smile for the nosy old cleaning woman whose hobby was minding other people's business. mind. Just make yourself comfortable. I'll be right with you.
Think I wasn't coming? Almost didn't make it. Didn't get to sleep last night. Came right over from the party. You should have been there.
I'll be right with you. It'll only take a minute.
I guess I am a mess.
You see, I worked at all hours I came over in the cab. It came to me all of a sudden. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to pose you.
Okay.
Now, let me explain. This is a modern Madonna. You're the eternal woman, mother of all men, who sorrows for all her children.
Ain't anything you want.
Now, look out that window, up into the sky. Try to imagine you see innocent people suffering. Right?
You're cute.
You've been drinking.
Yeah. There was some party last night. I kept wishing you were there.
You're drunk.
So what? I'm here. I thought you liked me. Why are you acting so mean? Cut it out. Stop looking at me like that.
Take your things and get out.
I like you. Ow! Cut it out!
So, now you know what really happened. People see what they want to see, what they're prepared to see. A number of people saw Michael Gerard that day, and each thought he saw truly. But where is the truth?
Michael Gerard, a square.
My mother.
So that was some dramatic. I don't even know if it's a feature length or not. I haven't had a chance to look it up, but obviously it was presented by B&A. B&A was a company that did a lot of management films, really some of the most boring management films you can imagine. But this one was probably packaged to be shown at conferences, management meetings, to kind of talk about like, oh, well, there's different ways to look at something. So lots of character actors in this. I like it. I like all the lingo. He's a hood. He's a real ladies' man. All that stuff is really quite special. But thanks for joining us today. I hope everybody has a good weekend. Very much appreciate you guys tuning in and your comments and your kind words. And even if you don't like a film, you seem to be okay with it in general. with a little bit of grousing, but that's fine. I understand. Not everything I'm going to show is going to be great, but thanks for tuning in. And be kind, rewind. Please rewind, and also love each other. Otherwise, the 919 rewind devil will show up. So what I like about this is somebody did a smiley face, and then somebody did a devil. It's pretty great. 2 bored students did this, so big fan. So everybody have a great weekend, and I'll be back on Monday. Everybody take care. Bye.